All right. So, what would you like to see from the SD-WAN lab that I've been putting together?
I think it'd be really cool to see. I think it'd be really valuable to see the dashboards side by side, the differences, and be able to see what an end user is going to be able to see as this is implemented from an application perspective, from a circuit perspective. What are they going to be able to see? I think that'll be compelling.
So everyone talks a lot about the analytics, and one of the things that I learned on the enterprise side is everyone liked the new tools. Like when you got your new network monitoring tool, or there was a new feature for your monitoring tool, or whatever it might have been, right? We all loved it, put it in, and then we all stopped paying attention to it. Do you think that this gives you enough data where it doesn't eventually just become thrown to the side?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I think it all depends on the user. Is the user going to take that data and then use it in a way that helps the business? Number one. So there's some education there that probably has to happen. But secondly, I read a market report. It was like 110 pages, and in this market report, they did a lot of following cases from compelled. What did you buy? Why did you buy it? What was your current situation? And then a year later, where were you? What were your opinions, and so on? And they ended up with categorizing some of the kind of the benefits we didn't realize, and up in the top 2 or 3 were the reporting and the visibility. So I think there's an underestimation of how critical some of this visibility or this data and these analytics is going to be, because they just haven't had it. So now people have this information, they have these analytics, they have this visibility, and this report showed that they didn't realize how impactful it was going to be. So I think we're yet to see, but that report says I think people will use it.
Awesome. No, I mean, I always like analytics. The one of the big things in the managed services department that I've ingrained in all of my guys, when it comes to not just the analytics, but taking those analytics and turning those into alerts, right?
Yeah.
Is alert equals action.
Right.
One of the things that annoyed me the most as a manager, as a customer, as an engineer, pick any of the hats I've ever worn, has always been when you hear someone go, "Oh, I got 100 email alerts from our system last night," and they all just go to my junk email, and I don't do anything with it. And the first thing I always want to do is smack someone with them. Why do you want 100 emails that you're not going to look at, right?
Right.
So alert equals action, right? And so we got to find the same way, I think, to make sure that people understand how to take and create action from those analytics. And I think that's when you said it kind of goes person to person. When I look at analytics, I think a lot of times people don't know what to do with the data.
Right.
They see it and it looked pretty, so they wanted it, but they bought it because it looked pretty. They didn't buy it because they actually understood the analytics they were looking at. So I think that's one of the interesting things that I would like to see as well. Analytics is one of the things that I'm going to be testing is, and specifically, and in fact, I'm actually going to be using a third-party monitoring tool to give justification to those analytic data, right? To see if it actually matches up. What they're putting in, does it match a third party? We'll be using our WAN Insight appliance, which for years has provided that same level of analytics to our customers without the ability to make any of those changes. So we're going to use that tool to be able to go, well, its MOS score was higher, its MOS score was less than what you were showing, why? Right? Type of thing, so that we can actually see if we can find, use that as a, what do they call that? When you have the safe, oh my God, the case study ones, right? Where it's never going to change. I'm going to be changing all the others, but I'm going to have the common testing as well, right. With one appliance. So that'll be really neat. So what else do you see anything neat happening coming up to the end of the year, first next year in the space?
In the space, I think we might see some surprises, as we talked about earlier, maybe some acquisitions. I've heard some rumors that haven't turned out to be true, but the Talari one was out of left field.
So it came out of nowhere.
So I think we'll see.
I was actually at the gym working out when you sent me the text, because you actually, a lot of times by the time you and I are passing back data, the other one already knew.
Yeah, right.
I feel like it's a race sometimes to us, but I definitively was caught unawares with that one, and I actually cursed out loud. I was afraid that at the gym they were going to lunk me in my Planet Fitness. They got the little lunk button. I was thinking, here it comes, I'm about to get lunked. But I did not get lunked over your text message. But no, it did. It kind of came right out of nowhere. What does that? With all this happening, how is an agent supposed to to keep up with this. I mean, they've got a whole business they got to keep up with. They've got
Yeah.
to keep up with everything else going on, all their customers, all those annoying things. How are they also on top of that supposed to keep up with an industry and a vertical that's changing so rapidly?
I think it's impossible. You know, I think our business has changed. The technology, you know, that a lot of the partners knew years ago with traditional telephony and then maybe getting into wide area networking, frame relay or MPLS, it's changed so much. And now with, you know, the technology being where it needs to be to start offloading workloads to clouds and all that making sense, the underlying business community is changing. So I think it's impossible for them to stay on top. They really gotta, the partners to stay on top. They really gotta use resources whose jobs it is and responsibility is,
Like yours?
like mine and yours, to know these technologies inside and out. And not only the technologies, I mean the platforms, but also the providers. The providers are different across the landscape. In some SD-WAN platforms, you've got 8 different providers, and each offering subtly looks different depending upon who it's coming from. And there's no way a partner can keep up with that, with running the business and making payroll and
Why should they?
Sales, and then they don't have to. You know, they don't have to.
So I hear you're going to be releasing, actually, this is the main reason you're in the office, was you'll be releasing a new matrix soon, potentially?
Yep. It's going to be first quarter next year.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's probably getting too big, but the more data we have, the more we can put into some online tools that are a little bit more user-friendly.
We won't expect those till later in the year.
That first we got to get all the data, but I'm going to be adding about 25 different additional data points to compare across the providers.
And it looks like almost doubling the amount of providers that are on the list from version 1.
It looks like that, but I've actually changed how it's going to be laid out. The first version was laid out by provider, and some providers have 2 or 3 different platforms in their offering. And this is going to be laid out by platform, and then what providers provide that platform. Because what I'm seeing in the marketplace is people are asking more about platform than specific provider.
Awesome.
So once we get that data, then we can really make some cool online tools.
I think our party's about to get crashed.
It is crashed.
It looks like we're adding one more to the thing. So I appreciate you taking the time and getting this in so that we can post it up on the site and keep up with it.
Yeah, anytime. Your blogs are phenomenal.
I'm trying to keep that up to date. That's
awesome.
I'm 2.5 weeks without posting anything, so I kind of got a little slap on the wrist from Mr. Paul this morning, telling me that I need to, or actually on Monday, he said you have to get something out by the end of the week. So you became my guinea pig, and Chris Tarico from Burst is going to be here tomorrow. I think I'm gonna snag him as well and make him go through go through the same exercise. He probably won't accidentally have his company banner with him like you did, but we'll take advantage of what we can.
He might. You never know. Chris is a funny guy.
Well, again, thank you for everything you teach me, and I'm sure that, as always, everyone will be excited to see it.
Thank you.
Bye.